So my name's Simon Kennedy. I'm the Deputy Minister of the Department of Innovation, Science, and Economic Development for the federal government. Some folks who take the course might remember the old name is Industry Canada. I'm the most senior public servant responsible for administering the department, for managing the organization. We have a number of ministers that are responsible for the activities of my department, so I report to them and I advise them and I carry out their instructions and I basically run the organization. We have a lot of engagements on the technology front and with tech policy. So just to give a couple of examples, if you look at the areas that I'm responsible for, they fall into a few big buckets. So one of them would be, we are the department at the federal level that's responsible for most framework policy for the business sector, of general application. So for example, if you're a financial institution or a bank, there's, special legislation, the Banking Act, and that's administered by finance. If you're in the agriculture business, there may be some legislation that the agriculture department is responsible for, but most of the business laws of general application at the federal level, we are responsible for, whether that's, the Canada Business Corporations Act, whether that's, the Copyright Act, the Competition Act, bankruptcy and insolvency. So from the birth of a company, to the windup of a company and everything in between, we have a lot of the laws and rules that apply to the business community, and those include the laws and regulations and other rules that deal with issues around data. So for example, the Personal Information and Protection of Documents Act, PIPEDA, a lot of them, folks in this course would probably know about that. Those, set out the rules for business use of data, for consent, and that sort of thing. And so, we are responsible for a lot of the rules of the road, for the business sector when it comes to data. In addition to that, we actually deliver a lot of programming that's relevant for the technology sector. So for example, we regulate access to spectrum, which is necessary, for example, for use of cellular communications. We license satellites. We provide a lot of direct financial support for the rollout of broadband internet infrastructure across the country. So when it comes to the regulation of telecommunications and when it comes to actual programming in the telecommunications sector, whether that's mobile, broadband, satellite, et cetera, we're the lead federal department for that. And then in addition to that, we're responsible for support of the industrial sector and for industrial policy. So that includes a lot of, for example, direct programs to support, key Canadian industries. We have had a long engagement really since the Second World War in the support of the automotive industry, for example, in the support of the, aerospace industry, the life science industry. And we would very much include in there, industries that are, kind of very, very much at the forefront of technology. So information and communications technology industries. We also support science and research, and we do that both from a kind of policy point of view, but also in terms of programming. So for example, in the portfolio, so my ministry is, is an organization, but then reporting to the ministers that I'm responsible for, we have a whole bunch of satellite organizations that are part of the broader portfolio. And they include the granting agencies that provide support, for example, to researchers, the Statistics Canada, the Canadian Space Agency. There's a bunch of organizations that are in the industry portfolio that I have, that I work with. I work closely with the chief executives of those organizations, and we support the government in carrying out, the policies and programs that the government wants to advance. So, I'm sure you know this, but, all industries are very rapidly becoming digital and data industries. And so, virtually across the whole suite of activities I just talked about, data and digital and technology are becoming pervasive. And so really, it's almost impossible to talk about any aspect of the work that I do and my colleagues in the ministry do that doesn't really have some, some connection back to technology, some connection back to data, some connection back to digital. We also, as I noted, as part of our industrial, policy work, as part of our research work, we provide support to emerging and transformative areas of technology. So for example, we help to administer the national strategy for artificial intelligence, the Pan-Canadian strategy for artificial intelligence, and we also are advancing strategies on genomics and on quantum, quantum computing, but also quantum materials, quantum science, So we're also working to kind of support the Canadian business sector and the research community in these emerging, really transformative areas like AI, quantum, and biology.